Hey, good evening, everybody. How you doing? Just double checking that I got all my tabs in order. I used to be a very bad tab person, and by that I mean like 50 at a time. And now it's like 20. That's not bad, right? Looks like we have one, two, three, four, five, 6 out of 9 as a quorum. So we have a quorum in attendance. So we can get this meeting started at 7 p.m. Welcome everyone that's here tonight. This is the April 2026 meeting of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 1C, representing Adams Morgan. Let's get underway. Call to order, introduction of commissioners. I just choose this kind of between the two options, going up and down in numerical order every month. Start with 1C01, just quick introductions.
Howard Bollicky, 1C01. We're the far southwest corner of ANC 1C, the Hilton Oyster Adams School, the lower 18th Street Commercial District. So glad to be here. Thank you.
I'm Peter Wood, represent ANC 1C03. That's right in the middle, 18th to 19th, Biltmore to Wyoming. Commissioner Olson, looks like you're up next.
Scott Olson, 1C05, which is from the Safeway to the rear entrance of the zoo, the middle part of Lanier Heights.
1C06, all you.
Hi, Linda Laughlin. The east side of Adams Morgan in our community, on the other side of Lanier from Commissioner Olson. And I will pitch to who's that? David.
David Fucillo, 1C08. I am from 16th Street to Ontario and Calorama to Florida, with the exception of between 17th and Ontario, go up to Euclid. I will turn it over to my neighbor at Harris Teeter.
Thank you. I'm Catherine Swanson Palmer. I represent 1C09, which is near the Harris Teeter. I like to say everything the Harris Teeter touches, but it's near H.G. Cook Elementary. Some people like to call it Reed Cook over there. And I'm the last one.
All right, thanks. Let's see if any other. No, I think we're good for now. So, to begin tonight's agenda, a couple of, how many? Four proposed additions. Anyone else have any others that didn't get typed into the proposed? Okay, this is mostly on me. I meant to put these onto the agenda earlier, but I didn't because of the week threshold overlapping with a business trip I had to make, and I got kind of locked out of my account. So that was what happened. I don't think that any of these items, potentially one, will take too much extensive discussion. Before I actually said that, we have another commissioner here. I didn't see a We'll get an introduction. Commissioner Diamond. You're on mute, but we're willing and eager to hear what you have to say.
Hi. I've been in the waiting room. Maria Lee Diamond, 1C04, which is Biltmore, Calvert, 19th, 20th, Adams Mill. So welcome to the meeting. Happy to be here. Lots going on in 1C04.
Glad to see you. I think that your Zoom label was deceiving, which has happened to me before, where I've had weird, sometimes kind of embarrassing labels show up. I'm like, I don't know how that showed up. So glad we got it straightened out.
Yeah.
Okay. So as I was saying, four proposed agenda item additions that I'd like to make. I would have put them on the agenda as regular items without having to do this, but I just missed the 7-day public notice cutoff. The second one, authorized renewal of the account for the district accounting systems. There, I think just getting that from all, I'd suggest that we add that to our consent agenda. Don't think it needs any conversation. It's just, I think, unless I'm missing something, just streamlining the process for getting banking to kind of transition from commission to commission every 2 years. The notices of intent, I don't really have much to add, but we can discuss that later if they get onto the agenda. But just as a courtesy, at the very least, like to have those open for public comment. And then sponsorship that we've discussed kind of privately, potential sponsorship for the upcoming Porch Fest. So I'll move to add these to tonight's agenda. Can I get a second for consideration?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Fucillo. Any questions, comments on these? Hopefully I explained it okay. All right. All those in favor of the additions, please say aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. We got those added on. I'll try to edit that later, but the second one, like I said, will be on the consent agenda then. Any other issues or questions with tonight's agenda? We got minutes put on. I got the link put up. Thank you, as always, Commissioner Swanson Palmer. I know that is one of those things that we have to do, but also it's easy to put off, and we shouldn't have to do it. So it's another question. Anything else that anyone wants to raise before we make tonight's agenda final? All right, and that will do it. So we'll move on. Officers' reports. Chair's report, I don't really have much. Let me think off the top of my head. Should have prepared something. Weather's getting nice, but it'll probably get cold again. So, I mean, a lot of people have been busy with a lot of activities and everything that that entails for the summer. There's a lot of, I mean, I guess it's kind of at 1CO3 stuff as well, so I won't try to double speak, but there's a lot of activity in parks and things like that. And actually, I'll go into that later. That's mostly 1CO3, with the exception of other stuff that's not even ANC 1C, like Malcolm X. But there's a lot of activity, a lot of investment. And I guess the one thing that we can think of in the coming month is if we want to have any outreach on the DC's fiscal 2027 budget. The budget season seems like it's probably going to be maybe delayed a week or two, but also the budget oversight may or may not be delayed. It's still kind of unclear. A lot of things going into play for that. But in the past, the commission has voiced what we would like. We can decide in the coming weeks if we want to do that or not, but it's something to keep notice of. And I'm trying to follow the timeline as best as I can to see if it matches well with our timeline for being able to comment. All right, I'll pass it along. Next, Secretary's report. All you.
Thank you. I also don't have much. We are continuing to do office hours on Thursdays at the line from 5 to 6. And the committee meeting schedule is posted on our calendar on our website. So I'll come back with 109 updates next, and I'll hand it over to Commissioner Olson.
Thank you. Treasurer report is not very interesting this month. Our current balance is about $25,000. Our allotment for this quarter is, or the coming quarter, what is it? It's quarter 3, so the coming quarter, the quarter that starts today, is delayed because OANC doesn't like some of the documents that we have related to the grant for the Platform of Hope that we closed out in January. I just got a message from them saying that the invoices that were submitted don't qualify as invoices under OANC's interpretation of the law, and also that the OANC approved categories for expenses do not match the characterization of expenses that were later submitted as part of the grant. So to like go back hat in hand to the Platform of Hope people and see if they can get their contractors to write different invoices that match the language related to the thing. It's, I don't know, maybe the probability is increasing that we have to eat the cost of this grant based on how this is playing out. Otherwise, that's all for me.
I appreciate it. I forget if I mentioned this before, but a previous treasurer has expressed similar frustrations where he said, yeah, I've managed multi-million-dollar accounts, and the most stress I've had is dealing like $2,000, $4,000 stuff with the ANC, which is unfortunate and is another conversation in terms of how people trust their local government and the hoops that we have to jump through. But appreciate your work through all of that. And you too, Commissioner Laughlin. I know you've been involved with trying to get that grant straightened out, and the paperwork is annoying. But I'm glad that we're in a good fiscal position regardless. All right, Commissioner updates. Let's start with, I guess, high to low this time, 1CO9. And if you're the chair of a committee, please comment on that as well.
Thank you. We held a cleanup in March. I mean 109, but with Commissioner Buccillo and Commissioner Diamond, and it was super successful. Picked up lots of trash across 1C. Hoping to do another one in May and June. We're working on that now. And that's actually everything I have right now. So I'll pass it on to Commissioner Buccillo.
1CO8, we're still waiting on the sign out on 16th Street to get fixed in front of the bus stop sign. Somebody keeps emailing me that the bus does not stop there because they don't see the sign. So working on that. Also, I got, we've got 2401 Ontario Road, the apartment building there. is dealing with some issues with trash and neighbors leaving things there. And that's when I first looked at that, I realized that's been going on for about 3 years. So I looped in the new Moker and got some other folks looped in on that. So hope to make progress there, but I understand the frustrations of the residents. And then I actually just got an email today from the DC Public Charter School Board, Bria Public Charter School, which is over on Calorama between Ontario and 17th, is up for its 20-year charter review. They technically operate one campus, but multiple facilities across wards 1, 4, and 5. It's open for public comment, and it looks like there is going to be a public meeting on May 18th at 5 p.m. I've got a few people that I can email. We'll figure out a way to best circulate that. I'll probably drop it in the Adams Morgan listserv as well, just to get that out there so people can comment if they so choose about Bria. Anything that they want to say is obviously welcome. And with that, I will turn it over to Commissioner Laughlin.
Before that, there's a clarifying question in the chat for you about where the trash, what address did you mention?
2401 Ontario. It's back behind, and Kristen, I'm happy to reach out to you as well to follow up on that if you want.
Similar to our other commissioners, more been receiving some emails also about just illegally dumped trash. We have the continuing issue between my SMD and Commissioner Olson's SMD at 2714 Ontario Road. I commend those residents for finding some partnership with DPW to hopefully end the fines for them. I did send out a message to those residents to try to maybe just meet up in person and do a little bit of a walk, because I have a lot of follow-up questions. And as much as people want to advocate to put in public trash cans on like residential streets, it comes with particular burdens as well. So I just sort of want to remind residents of that the moment that it's abused by the public, the DPW will remove it. So, and it also could be rat trap. So I just want to sort of work with those individuals to work through some steps. And also, if you ever see anybody illegally dumping, please put it in the 311. I know it doesn't always get us the fastest results as we'd like, but if we can keep documenting it, it can help build our cases. Related to some parking, some residents may be aware that I think when Harvard Hall, the big one, I might be having the wrong name, when they finished remodeling earlier this year and they removed the fencing, they may have also not put up backup signs, or something's been done to remove zone parking on a part of Quarry Road that hits Summit. So the residents in many of the large apartment buildings in this section that don't have underground parking, it's brought some limitations. So I've reached out to the tenant association there, and I'm also going to reach out to DDOT, because I don't know if it was an oversight, if the zone parking was removed by accident or if that was by plan. So I will look into that, and I will also touch base again with DDOT to see where they're in for the planning for the new crosstown bus lanes, but also the proposal and studies they were doing for the potential roundabout for the buses at Argonne and Harvard. So I'd like to invite DDOT back to a future meeting to discuss that more, and also see if there's more time for public comment. And then I guess this is more of an update for all the other commissioners and for Commissioner Wood. I did contact all the Democratic candidates for Ward 1, and as well as the independent. I think there's one other, but we did get confirmation from all the candidates that we contacted to do our April 29th debate, which I think maybe we'll talk a bit about more. But we did get confirmation from all the Democrats that are running, the independent, and there may be one other candidate that I do need to reach out to. That's it for me.
1C05. Yeah, the trash on Ontario Road. Thank you for mentioning that, Commissioner Laughlin. There was a question from the bid about residential trash in public trash cans on Linear Place. That seemed, I mean, this is sort of thing that seems to be coming up pretty often. Um, uh, and I also learned for Commissioner Diamond that the abandoned building at 2620 Ontario has flip-flopped between a grade 3 and a grade 4, which are one is blighted and one is vacant. And I got some advice that we should write to the Department of Buildings and suggest to them that the building, which is currently in a grade 3, be downgraded to a grade 4, which increases the tax burden on the owner and seems to be one of the few sort of mechanisms we have to encourage something to happen with the property. Um, I think I'm missing something, but I've forgotten, so I'll pass along.
Okay, well, after all that trash talk, I'm going to start with something positive. But I do have trash talk as well. So, first, a big shout out to the Friends of Walter Pierce Park who did a cleanup on the day of the half marathon, and they collected oodles of bags of trash, about 7 bags of trash, and the park looks great. So, thank you to them. Um, Also, continuing with trash issues. So, I have been getting emails from DPW about missed trash collections or trash collections being behind. So if there's an issue and your trash or recycling is not picked up, leave your can out for the next day because usually it's just because DPW is a slight bit behind. And that's just been happening because of people calling out sick and various other issues. But DPW is aware of that. So just work with them and work with us as commissioners. On bus and bike issues, so WMATA is currently has a bus survey open because they are taking comments on a lot of the bus lanes. You know, the buses were the routes were reconfigured and they're doing some changes. So if you take the D74, the D70, or the D50, you are welcome to comment at wamata.com/budget. There's a survey on some changes to the routes. So that would be great if you could comment. Also on Biltmore Street, there have been safety issues for years and years and years. So there is currently an NOI open for public comment. And basically, the reconfiguration on Biltmore Street would be taking out 4 or 5 parking places, adding a crosswalk, and adding a contraflow bike lane on the street. So if you have strong feelings about that, and I've reached out to some people, but definitely check out that NOI and make some comments. Also, I think our Moker might mention this, but there's a roll-off trash, speaking of trash, a roll-off trash day coming where you can go and deposit your mattresses, batteries, and all kinds of stuff. So that's coming up. And there's also a Ward 1 cleanup coming. So lots of things going on. And now that all the snow has receded, just taking care of our streets would be helpful for everybody. If you see something on the street, pick it up and put it in the trash can. So that's it for 1CO4. Over to you, Commissioner Wood.
I usually have it unmuted, but I muted myself for the first time. So okay. So yeah, I thank you for all that. 1CO3, I should actually backtrack. I should have said this at the chairperson comments, but as Commissioner Laughlin stated, the 29th of April we'll be hosting with the Festival Center a candidate debate for Ward 1 council member. It's originally scheduled to be earlier in the month, but there was a conflict with another organization and it ended up getting a change of date. We'll send more information on that in the next. Today's April 1st. Yeah, I guess no one, yeah, trying to make some sort of clever comment about April Fool's jokes, but I'll withhold that for now. In the next week or so, hopefully, we'll be able to start releasing public information. 1CO3, main thing that's been going on is I think they're pretty close to getting to spend the $2 million that we got for Calorama Park mediation or mitigation of erosion. So there've been monthly, semi-monthly, I forget the exact iteration, but DPR has been hosting virtual meetings to go over those plans on a regular basis. They've been listening to public input. I think they're close to the point where there's only so much they can do to alter the plans because they're just getting advanced. But they've been listening to people and hopefully will continue to listen. Some people that have been going have been giving really good comments, especially in things in terms of like why the sidewalks have crumbled and all these different kind of strategies for preventing the problems that have already come up in the first place so that this money's well spent. I think that construction is still scheduled to start sometime this summer and finish later this year. They said that it's looking good, and there's somewhere online, I think they recently posted some of the images of what it should look like. So it's looking very interesting. I'll try to find a link and share that, but you can search for it as well. So that's the main thing. It's a big project, and it's been a while since they've done renovations in the park, so hopefully that will go well. And with that, I'll turn it to Commissioner Balke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And I'll just mention I was on that Zoom call for the Kalorama Park the other night as well. And really good turnout from the community, which I was glad to see. And I mean, a lot of people really care deeply about that park and they've been associated with it for years. And people had all sorts of fascinating, very detailed questions about things in the park that the people like me with a dog never even think about. So was glad to participate in that. Just briefly, things are always happening here in 1C01. Three items quickly. Wanted to mention that we are going to get our second streetery on Southern Adams Morgan on 18th Street. Her diner has started the TOPS process, and I've talked to the owner, and I know Sean mentioned this in the chat a few months ago, but it is going to happen. So looks like Southern Adams Morgan, 18th Street is going to be the new streetery district, which is we're looking forward to. Second thing I wanted to mention, the Universal Building conversion to the Geneva residential almost skyscraper. I just wanted to mention that I got word that they're going to be putting up, pending DDOT approval, a 10-foot wooden fence all the way around the perimeter for the entire block. And this will take part of the sidewalk, but there shouldn't be any restrictions on pedestrian movements as a result of this. They're just getting ready to do some serious work. Third thing I wanted to mention, I'm happy to report that DDOT has decided that they're going to make 19th Street and Oyster Adams the subject of a safe routes to school program engineering study. They're going to bring in outside consultants and take a look at the whole situation here. And this is Groucho, say hi Grouch. And I just wanted to let people know because I've reached out to some folks in the neighborhood as well. This has been a point of contention for a very long time. And just briefly, they're going to look at things like daylighting and curb extensions, vertical traffic calming elements such as speed bumps and raised crosswalks, relocated school zone and 15-mile-per-hour school zone speed limit signs. And they can also adjust the pickup and drop-off signage in front of the schools. This is we glad to see they're doing this, and we look forward to participating here in the neighborhood. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I know a lot of people be eager to see the results of the study because there's been a lot of commotion and problems with the traffic outside of the school. So hopefully that advances well. All right, so now we have at least a couple, I think 2 or 3 presentations from outside groups. First from Jubilee Housing. I see there's at least a couple of you here. Not sure who's speaking, but if you're here to speak to give us an update on Jubilee Housing development projects, please raise your hand. We'll get to Tyrell's here, I think. All right, that works. Oh, there's more than I thought. At least 2 or 3 people. Good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening. Thank you all for having us. I believe Michael Pargalardo is on with us as well. Can we begin? I believe.
Yeah, all yours.
Awesome. All right. Michael has a presentation slide deck for us to project here as well. I don't want to get ahead of myself in presenting. Awesome. Wonderful. Well, good evening to all of you, the commissioners of Advisory Neighborhood Commission 1C, as well as those of you who are on with us. My name is Tyrell Holcomb, and I serve as Vice President of External Affairs. We've been before you previously to share out couple of the projects that we were working on. And tonight wanted to come back to provide some updates, as well as hear anything that may be festering or burning as it relates to updates on our end. And I'm joined by my colleague who will introduce himself as well.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Papalardo, and I am a real estate development manager for Jubilee Housing. Have a lot of exciting things going on, in the Adams Morgan neighborhood. So wanted to share today some updates on some, of our existing projects as well as some of our projects in the pipeline.
Awesome. Thank you for the level setting there, Michael. Next slide.
All right, so I can
So,
take it away here. Oh, Tyrell, sorry.
absolutely, by no means.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, for those of you on the call that aren't familiar with Jubilee Housing, we are an affordable housing real estate development company in the Adams Morgan 1C neighborhood. We have a pretty tight-knit campus here, as you can see by this map here. Lot of things going on in our neck of the woods and in our world, and a lot of exciting things coming up in the 2026 and 2027 years. We currently have 13 of our properties under management, with 8 buildings in the pipeline and serving almost 1,000 people in the neighborhood, which is really great. In early 2026, we have some big milestones coming up, including the opening of our 1724 Calorama Road project, as well as our 1460 Euclid building. And I'll go into a little more specifics on each of those projects in the next few slides. We're also opening 2400 Ontario Road. Across these 3 properties, that's 102 units, as well as the Sitar Arts Center expansion in the Calorama building, the aquaponics farm, which is a fully integrated aquaponics farm in our Ontario building. I'm sure some of you have attended that groundbreaking event, so that was really exciting. Later in 2026, we're going to be opening up our King Emmanuel Baptist Church project. It's a church conversion to 18 SRO units. Think of boarding school style apartments. Everyone has their own bedrooms, shared common areas. And this building is also going to feature a full service commercial kitchen that's going to be utilized by residents as well as the Jubilee Farms team next door. And then looking later into 2027, we're going to be looking for our 1800 Columbia Road as well as our Mount Pleasant Properties portfolio for that construction to begin. So just kind of a overall development summary that we currently have in the pipeline. I've touched base on all these different projects we have going, but we have 308 new units of affordable housing coming online, which is very exciting. And this is more of just a visual timeline for our different projects and the timelines for construction and when we plan to occupy. As you can see in 2026, we'll be finishing our Euclid and Calorama buildings, Ontario, as well as King Emmanuel Baptist Church conversion, which is scheduled for completion at the end of December. And then you have our ADMO, which is a scattered site that I'll get into more in the next slide, as well as the 1800 and Mount Pleasant Properties portfolios. So the 1724 Calorama Road building, initially built in 1923, it was acquired by Jubilee in 2018. This building consists of 5 floors, about 29,000 square feet, for a total of 25 affordable housing units. This building features family-sized units as well as a commercial condominium on the first floor, which is utilized by our partners, the Sitar Arts Center. And there's also a penthouse office that is used as a satellite office for Jubilee Housing and our resident programming teams. So we have conditional occupancy. We're looking to get permanent occupancy here later this month. Going down the street in the same portfolio, we have the 1460 Euclid Street project that was built in 1925, acquired in 2018 alongside the Calorama building. And this features 5 floors, 28,000 square feet for another total of 25 units. And this was a level 2 moderate rehab. We got brand new finishes, reconfigured some of the layouts of the units, has green features, including high efficiency HVAC systems, a green roof, as well as a solar panel system. This project's lagging a little behind the Calorama, and this is anticipated for completion in May of 2026. Going down the street from that, we have our 2400 Ontario Road, as well as our 1721 Calorama Road projects. And the 1721 Calorama Road is our KEB church conversion. As I mentioned, it's going to be 18 SRO units for citizens returning from incarceration and involved in the justice system, as well as a full commercial sized kitchen that'll be utilized by our Jubilee Farms team. We are maintaining a sanctuary area in the building, as well as utilizing some of the original components of the building, such as the stained glass windows into the new design. Going across the street, we have the 2400 Ontario Road. That's going to be 52 units. We just received our conditional occupancy, and we're working towards our permanent occupancy with DOB here, hopefully in the next few weeks. And this is DC's first affordable housing integrated aquaponics farm. We have 2 grow structures on the roof, if you can see in that picture, as well as a grow space in the cellar, which will feature fish tanks. And it's a very cool system. So we're excited to get that under the way. The farm build out actually started last week. This building also features flexible community rooms and also has green features such as the solar panel system. Upcoming, we have, this is more deals that are in our pipeline. We have what we call the Jubilee Admo apartments renovation. So this is going to comprise of a scattered site development. It is going to be your Mozart building, which is located at 1630 Fuller Street, your Fuller building located at 1650 Fuller Street, 2418 17th Street, the Marietta building, the Ritz building at 1631 Euclid Street, the Euclid building at 1740 Euclid Street, and the Sorrento building at 2233 18th Street. So we're actually gearing up to close on this later this month, and we're gonna get started with construction towards mid to end of May. And this is another level 2 moderate rehab. It's going to mainly be interior work with new HVAC systems, upgraded finishes, as well as some exterior repairs and site improvements. This is going to be a phased development, so we're going to be working on 1 or 2 buildings at a time, and there will be some disruption, some lanes blocked in deliveries, on these streets at different times, depending on the phasing schedule, and we'll make sure to relay all that information on any disruptions to the neighborhood to this group here. A little further down the pipeline, we have our 1800 Columbia Road project. I'm sure many of you know that plaza on the intersection of 18th in Columbia. We are going to be developing a 6-story 51 unit building. It's going to feature 3 commercial spaces on the ground level, as well as a multi-functioning plaza space. So we worked with a design team at Eric Colbert and Associates, who have put in a lot of dedication into a functional design for this plaza. It's going to feature a typical setup with benches and tables for the community to enjoy, as well as a market setup for farmers markets and other events in that nature, and then a festival setup for other larger festival or concerts or anything along those lines. And we actually just submitted the funding application for this, and And pending award on that, we're looking to start this project in 2027.
Michael, could I
And
add
then,
something really quick?
yeah, absolutely.
So we also, as it relates to the plaza, as some of you all may be aware, it was a gift to Jubilee Housing that allows us to move forward with a redevelopment project. But we most recently came to a agreement with the KCA team on an easement as well as a use agreement. So the plaza space is functioning and will be functioning up until the time that we go through construction.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Tyrell. And then lastly, along the same timeline as the 1800 building, we have our Mount Pleasant Properties portfolio, which consists of Richmond Towers located at 3055 16th Street, Sarbin Towers located at 3132 16th Street, and Park Marconi, which is located at 3150 16th Street. These were, initially built in Richmond Towers 1954, Starvin Towers 1950, and Park Marconi 1936. And we actually acquired these buildings through the TOPA program back in 2022. We are actually reconfiguring the units. There is currently 164 units across these three buildings, and following the rehabilitation, we will be providing 150 units. Something that we really saw a need for across our portfolio was, family-sized units. So that is something that, when we were going through the design process, it was, a big sticking point for us. So we're happy to, be able to provide those 2, 3, and 4 bedroom units for those families in need. This project's going to feature high efficiency VRF HVAC systems, green components such as a green roof and a solar panel system, as well as Energy Star appliances. And then the interiors will all get a much needed facelift with upgraded finishes and building systems. So this is following the same RFP process. So we just submitted a funding application, and hopefully we hear back some good news and get started with this in 2027. And then finally, here is my contact information. I'm sure you guys have Tyrell's information as well, but please feel free to reach out, ask questions, give me concerns. Happy to help however I can.
All right, that's great. Thank you for all that. I know you all stay busy, so I really appreciate the time to go over this tonight. One question that someone submitted, not sure if you have an answer readily available. The 1800 Columbia property, do you know if the sidewalks are going to be adjusted as it relates to that, the width? As far as I knew, they're going to be left untouched. Is that right?
Yeah, to the extent of my knowledge, and I can definitely double check these facts and get back to you. But there will be some site configuration, especially out in the plaza area. But for the most part, the widths of the sidewalk will remain the same.
Great. Thanks for that. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Looks like we're good. Well, appreciate you all being here tonight. Hope you have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you for your
Awesome.
time.
Thank you all.
Pleasure. Take care.
Take care.
All right, so next, in similar fashion, an update from DC Water on the lead-free DC project. A lot going on. We don't have a lot of specific updates, but we have general updates from a lot of people in the community, so that's helpful. So if you're here, there we go. Sean's hand is up from DC Water. Good evening, welcome. How are you doing?
Now, now you can hear me.
Good, yeah.
Hey, it's Sean. How are you doing? Hi,
All right.
commissioners. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present this evening. Give you a quick update on lead-free DC. Let me share my screen right quick. Uh, there it is. Okay. Some reason there. Let's try that.
All right.
All
So it
right,
looks
perfect. Apologies for that delay. Uh, as I said, I'm Sean Moore with DC Water with our lead-free DC program. I'm here this evening to give you a quick update about lead-free DC, let you know what we have going on in 1C, and of course, answer any questions that you or your constituents may have about the program. So lead-free DC is, of course, DC Water's program to eliminate all 42,000 lead service lines from the district. As of today, we've done 11,679 service line replacements. So we're about 28% towards our goal. So we still have a ways to go, but we're definitely moving in the right direction. You'll see here on the screen, that's our program status dashboard. You can find that on dcwater.com/lead. And you can use that dashboard to track our progress and see how we're doing towards getting to that goal. I didn't show you on there's another page on the dashboard that also further breaks down by award. So you can look at even more detail as to how we're performing by ward and by ANC. So definitely please check it out. It has a wealth of information for you. So why the focus on lead pipe removal? Well, we know that lead's a powerful neurotoxin and that there is no safe level of lead. And exposure to lead can cause serious health impacts, especially for women and children where you can have developmental issues as well as potential birth defects in pregnant women. You can have health issues leading up to and including miscarriage. And even for adults, exposure to lead can contribute to high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, all those dreaded diseases that so many of us have. So what are we talking specifically? We're talking about the service line, which is the line that runs from the water main in the street into the house. Now, that service line has two sides. There's a public side that DC Water is responsible for maintaining, and then there's a private side that the homeowner is responsible for maintaining. So all costs related to work in public space and private space, is the responsibility of the homeowner. As a matter of fact, DC Water can't use ratepayer funds to do work on private property. But through Lead-Free DC, we have special money that allows us to do that work on private property. So we're able to offer these free lead service line replacements on private property to homeowners. So tonight, we have our capital improvement programs, which I'm going to talk about tonight. We also have a lead pipe replacement assistance program, which I'll give you a brief update for 1C. And then we also have a voluntary full replacement program for people who don't want to wait for their turn to get a free service line replacement. I like to say it's cool, but a great tool that we have is our inventory map. You can go to the map on dcwater.com/lead. You can enter any premise address here in the city, and you can see the service line material that we think is present at that residence. If it's lead, you'll see it will be, if it's verified lead, it'll be red. If it's verified non-lead, it'll be blue. If it's orange, yellow, or green, that means we think it's lead, or we don't have any information, or we think it's not lead, but we're not certain. In any case where it's not verified, we will be doing a verification process as a part of Lead-Free DC to make sure that we have the correct service line material inventory for every residence in the city, every premise in the city. So we're focused specifically on lead and galvanized pipes. You can see the lead pipe on the left. If you went and you looked in your basement under your sink or wherever your pipe comes into the house and you see a pipe that looks like that with that little bulb on it, guarantee that that's a lead pipe because that only happens in the installation of lead pipes. And on my right, you'll see the galvanized iron pipe, which fills up with this gunk. It's called tuberculation, which can trap lead particles. And because of this, we're really focused on removing those lead and galvanized pipes. So specifically, I want to talk about our bi-block service line replacements because that's what you'll see going on around the community. With the bi-block replacements, we're doing those replacements across the city, but we're basing that on a prioritization model. So what DC Water has done is we've scored every block in the city, and we've looked at things like total number of lead service lines that need to be replaced. Are there children there? Are there schools? Are there daycare centers? And we've used that information to create a lead score for each block. And so we've been prioritizing those blocks with the highest lead scores across the city, and those are the ones that we're replacing first. We're replacing lead in galvanized pipes with copper. District funding covers all the costs for work on private property, so it's free for homeowners. We commit to providing restoration in kind. We want to leave it as good or better than we found it. And there's only two things that a homeowner needs to do. First, they need to sign a right of entry authorization agreement. And second, someone who's 18 or older has to be there on the day of the replacement. So right now we have 13 blocks in construction phases in 1C. That's 116 premises, and we're about 32% of those authorizations are signed. Then we have 10 blocks that are coming up and pending construction. That's another 157 premises. About 28% of those right of entry authorizations have been signed. Now, I do have a full block list at the end of this presentation, and I will forward the presentation to you commissioners so that you can share it with your constituents. These specifically are some of the low engagement blocks. These are blocks where we have less than 30% participation. And in these areas, we certainly would ask for your help, your support, commissioners, as we try to get the message out to folks on these blocks and get them to sign up to participate in the program. For our lead pipe replacement assistance program, which is that second program I mentioned, that is for homeowners who only have a lead service line on their private property. And if they go to the lead map that I showed you earlier, and it shows on the map that they are potentially eligible for an LPRAP replacement, which means they just apply and it's free, but they don't have to wait for DC Water to come out and do the replacement. They can initiate it and carry out the process themselves. There's 126 premises identified in 1C that are eligible for the LPRAP program. Those folks should have received notifications letting them know that they're eligible. But if they're not sure, they can certainly go to the lead map and put in their address and see if they're eligible for the LPRAP program. So, of course, we need your help in order for us to reach our goal of replacing all 42,000 service lines. We want folks to really believe that it really is a free program. So encourage your neighbors to sign up if they are notified. We have our canvassers going door to door. Please be on the lookout for them. It's citywide, like I said. So if people ask you about it and they say, "Oh yeah, those lead-free people, I keep seeing them," is that a real program? Yes, it is. Please. We want everyone to believe and to understand it is really free. So introduce us to your neighbors, your block captains. I will come out and talk to anybody who wants to hear about lead-free DC at any time. So I would love to come out and talk to community groups, to other neighbors. If people on the block have questions, we can certainly facilitate getting those questions answered. If you do get your service line replaced, we ask that you complete our post-replacement survey. That helps us to improve our performance and make sure that we're doing exactly what we say we're going to do. We're looking to do pop-ups and other events throughout the community. So we want to be in the community talking about lead-free DC. And importantly, for folks, please make sure your contact information is updated on the DC Water in the DC Water system, so that that's the information that we use to contact folks. So you can always, if you have questions, you can reach out to our lead hotline, which is our 202-787-4044 number, or you can send an email to our lead inbox, which is what I always say that's the best way to do it, is to send an email to our lead inbox, lead@dcwater.com. You can also just call me. My information is here on the screen. I'm Sean Moore, 202-787-4049, or sean.moore@dcwater.com. We have a wealth of resources available on dcwater.com/lead. Everything I talked about today is there on the website, plus more. So please take advantage of that. And with that, I would love to answer your questions. And like I said, the blocks are listed at the end of this presentation.
Oh, this is great. Thank you for presenting all that. I'm going to start combining a question in the chat with a question I have. The question was about the legend. Maybe it didn't show up for whoever was seeing it. There was a legend on the map showing like a spectrum from
Right,
confirmed lead to confirmed non-lead, and in between is
right.
suspected.
Yeah.
My question about the map is Do you have any? This is kind of maybe a bit of an academic question, but the map like that we usually hear about DC is that every map is the same that shows the kind of historic inequalities in the system. That map doesn't show that. It shows lead in mostly like wards 1, 4, and 6. Is there any kind of like developmental history explanation for why the lead around DC is in the why lead pipes are in the neighborhoods they are in? Because I thought that was an interestingly different map than I was expecting.
So if you look at the history of lead pipes and how they were used across the country, lead pipes actually were very popular early on because they're very easy to work with, and compared to other materials, they're a lot less expensive. So, in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, a lot of people used lead pipes. As we came to understand the health impacts of lead, then they fell out of favor in terms of use. But if you look at homes that are built, from, the turn of the century well into the 50s, you'll see a lot of lead pipes. So it's based on the age of the housing stock. And also, it just depends on who built it, who developed it, and there's some homeowner choice in there. But a lot of folks just use lead because it was cheap and it was easy to use. So that's why you'll see in wards four, those really dense neighborhoods, wards 4, 6, 1, you'll see, a large concentration of those lead pipes because a lot of those row houses and a lot of the other houses, that when those builders built them, that's what they used, lead or galvanized pipes.
That's helpful. Thank you for that context. Commissioner Laughlin.
So I want to let's see if I can share my one screen. Yeah. All right, you guys are seeing the map, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think this will help answer some of the questions that are in the chat as well, if I can minimize you. So I think if people go to the actual map, like I went in immediately because I happen to live in
Hmm.
this building. It's
Okay.
1705. But that does display the categories. Like people
Right.
are wondering the difference between, so blue means it's verified non-lead, red it's verified lead. So if it's yellow, is that because DC Water has not been able to test or contact the residents?
So if it's yellow, that just means we don't have any information on that property in our records.
And how do you
Um,
get information then? Would you
so
need,
So in order for us to verify and know the surface line material in those cases where you see yellow, that means we're going to have to go out and do a verification process, which
okay,
involves digging test pits as well as doing point of entry inspections. So we look at the pipe where it comes into the building to see what type of surface line material is there. And then we dig that hole at the property line so we can visually inspect and see what type of surface line material is in the ground. And then those are the ways that we can verify when we don't have other information. A lot of times, work gets done and it doesn't necessarily get reported to DC Water, so we don't have the records, so we
okay.
don't know.
So if homeowners wanted that done, like would they contact DC Water to get that testing done or to get the verification? And does it come with a cost?
Test pits are free. We are doing test pits. They're as a part of our construction packages. So people are contacted to have test pits. I mean, if you have specific questions about test pits, you can certainly reach out to our lead hotline, or and they can answer some of the questions you may have about test pits. But as a part of our outreach, as a part of, excuse me, our construction, big part of that is the verification process. So, we will be reaching out to neighbors and to everyone, so that we can verify that material. And if it is lead, we'll replace it. If it's copper, then we'll turn that yellow dot into a blue dot. So, that's the goal, and that's what we're doing through the program. But it is something that's going to take a while because every single one of those verifications, every single one of those replacements is done by hand. So it's a slow process.
No, this map is really, really
Yeah.
helpful. And I had a feeling I knew this property here. I already saw a sign go up from DC Water for work that's about to start on for that particular household. So it's sort of cool to put the pieces together. So thank you. I'll stop sharing,
Oh,
and
no
that
problem.
answered my questions.
All right, Commissioner Balke.
Thanks very much. And just say I really like that interactive map. I spent some time with it this weekend, and it's really well done. And you guys are to be commended. But You had listed several streets that definitely needed attention in 1C, and one of them was Vernon Street in my district. And that popped up a question in my mind because that street has several small businesses on it that are in converted, originally they were
Mhm.
residential townhouses. Am I correct in assuming that what you're doing here is not available free to businesses, just to residents?
It is free for businesses as well,
Oh, good,
for
good.
yeah. So yeah, folks in converted residential buildings, it's
Yeah,
really based on that size of that service line. So that,
yeah.
1 inch service line, that's going to service a residence, a small business, a small apartment building. So all those are eligible to participate in the program for the free replacement.
Good. I'm glad to know. I'll be talking it up, I'm sure. Thank you.
Excellent.
Commissioner Diamond.
So I have two quick questions. My first question is, you showed a map that had, or a slide that had low compliance with members with accessing this program, and I think one was 17th Street.
Mhm.
And I know on that, some of those blocks, they're condos or they're rentals. And
Mhm.
so the person living there might not be the
Right.
one who can give permission. So how does that work if it's an apartment building or a condo or something like that?
So that, of course, continues and always is a challenge because the homeowner is required to sign, or the building owner is the one who's required to sign. What we do is, as we send out materials, we send it to, the address, but we also send it to the owner of record. So whoever that is, that's in our system that owns that building. If it's different from, the address, of the actual premise, they get that information as well. We also have the folks who are canvassing, they have and they can share what we call our tenant toolkit, which is really just information for tenants to use to talk to their landlords. We always ask for folks to give us contact information for their landlords, to see if we can actually have some success, and reaching out to them to get them to sign up for the service line replacement, especially if it's free for the landlord, and it's a beneficial to the tenant. We definitely want to make sure that happens, and we don't want that premise to be missed because the landlord is not paying attention to their email or their mail.
Yeah, and my second question is, in terms of information, I actually get a paper bill for my water bill, and there's a lot of information like about sewer lines. Is this lead information? Like, why isn't it in your bill? Like, in terms of communicating this program to people, if
Mhm.
people are getting a bill, that seems to me to be like a good point of contact.
So that is an idea. I know we try to be really targeted, and so
Okay,
there's a lot of coordination that's going on,
okay.
with this. So we are working directly with our list of folks who are eligible to participate, and so there's multiple levels of coordination that it would take, and so it's a great idea, but sometimes it's just hard to make it happen.
Right, right. No, I know. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to communicate.
Mhm.
But thank you. It seems like it's a great program, and I'm going to check my address on that map.
Please do.
All right, anything else, commissioners? All right, thank you, Sean. Appreciate you being here. Definitely good information. I think we're excited to share it to our constituents and
Perfect.
get your crews back into these houses and get these pipes replaced some more. I know you've already done a lot of work, so that's definitely appreciated.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Likewise, take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, next on our agenda, I believe someone from Ward 1 Mokers will be here. If you're, I think Stephanie's here, right? Oh, if you're a Moker that's expecting to speak tonight, raise your hand. Otherwise, we can move on. We can get to you later if you change your mind. Oh, Enrique's here. Yeah. Good evening, Enrique. How are you doing?
Good evening. Hello. By any chance, is my partner Stephanie as well on the call or no?
See her name, but she hasn't raised her hand, so we'll just, I guess, leave it until she
Okay,
does.
that's perfectly fine. So, good evening, commissioners, and anyone else in the audience as well. My name is Enrique Lopez. I am the Ward One liaison for the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. So, just wanted to quickly introduce myself to everyone that is on this call tonight. So to circle back to some issues that were addressed early on in the meeting, specifically with endemic trash collection, recycling, rodent abatement issues that are currently in need of being addressed. I previously put in the chat that if there's the need for a walkthrough or to address any particular areas, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, as well as I will continue to follow up with the ANC specifically that mentioned these particular issues, so that way we can begin to coordinate efforts with DPW, also as well the bus stations and routes that were mentioned with DDOT as well, and any other organizations that we or sister agencies that we can partner with to get these addressed. Since I know that uh, these have been going on as an endemic for a few weeks, if not months now. So we are looking to resolve those as quickly as possible. And anything that needs to be flagged, please do flag that to me, so that way we can get that resolved. So that's one thing that I wanted to to announce and mention, and other as well. Can I present something as well on my screen as well?
Yeah.
Thank you. So, are you able to see my screen?
Looks like we can, yeah.
Yes, perfect. So, this is the Mary Bowser's 10th annual spring cleanup that was previously alluded to by, I think it was ANC Laughlin, I believe. Well, whoever mentioned it as well. This is the event that we are looking to promote as well, since this will be for Ward 1 specifically at Banneker Recreation Center on 2500 Georgia Avenue. I will be dropping this in the chat as well, so that I highly encourage to for our ANCs to spread this to residents, as this will be a massive effort from the Moker's office as well as DC in general, as we are looking to have a roll off and potentially special waste containers for potentially for e-waste, batteries, things of that nature, so that way any bulk items as well as e-waste can be discarded at this particular location, but to beautify our streets as well. So we're looking to get a cleanup on a much more massive scale, as well as not just to be cleanup, but also as well have a party essentially at the end. So we're looking to have carnival themes, hopefully have some bands play, live music be played. So we are definitely looking to have this to be a really big bash for April 25th. So we highly encourage you to share this with residents to get registered, as we do encourage this for April 25th. Second thing that I do want to promote as well is Porch Fest for April 26th as well for Adams Morgan. So Porch Fest, as for those of you that are familiar with ADMO, that is a very big event that we have going on as well. So that overall is pretty much these two main events are for Ward 1 residents, friends, and family that we highly encourage you to share with. These will be for next month's last weekend. So we are hoping to have that be a really big, fun event for everyone included. So, and just to circle back again, for any of the endemic issues that were previously alluded to, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, so that way we can get these addressed. And Ms. Swanson, question?
Mr. Ward, is it okay if I go ahead and ask?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I just wanted to flag for you, Enrique. Thanks for coming. I just sent you an email about illegal dumping on Euclid Street and some of the difficulty we've had with getting DPW to follow the law that went into effect in March. So I would love to talk to you more about that anytime you have time. And Stephanie is aware of this issue too. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Enrique. Commissioners, any other questions, comments? I think I have a couple of unaddressed constituent issues that are items that constituents have brought to my attention that I haven't gotten to yet. I might need help, but I'll bring that to your attention later. But appreciate your service and thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Commissioners.
All right. It looks like we can move on to public announcements. If you've been waiting to speak, appreciate your patience. We'll get to the hands in the order that they're received. First up, looks like from Councilmember Nadeau's office, Eliza Roche Robinson. Good evening. How are you doing?
Can you guys see me and hear me?
Good, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Eliza Roche Robinson with Councilmember Nadeau's office, and I am her constituent services specialist. I have just a few updates. Hopefully I won't go over anyone else's updates because they kind of overlap a little bit. But first on the agenda is affordable housing. So the council member is using her final year to push as hard as possible on three major pieces of legislation right now. One of them is a housing production omnibus introduced with Councilmember Robert White, which would modernize how DC funds housing by replacing the current Housing Production Trust Fund with a more flexible Housing Opportunity Fund. This would essentially create 5 dedicated funding streams for building new housing, deeply affordable housing, preserving existing units, helping tenants purchase their buildings, and acquiring land for future development. The goal is to move beyond one-off fixes and temporary fixes to actually build a housing system that works for today's challenges. Secondly, there's legislation to set housing targets across the entire district, updated every 5 years to make sure that every neighborhood is included and not just a few areas. Thirdly is the One Front Door Act, which was unanimously approved by council on March 30th. This allows more and larger units to be built in smaller buildings by removing the second staircase requirement while still maintaining modern fire safety standards. Next is the district's long-term growth plan, or DC 2050. The council member believes that the proposed update to the district's future land use map within the plan is underwhelming and disappointing. They make only small changes to density and won't meet the scale of our housing needs. The council member has a lot of questions for the Office of Planning, and the council will have a lot of work to do to get the map on track for building housing everywhere that we need it. Residents can submit comments on the draft plan at DC 2050, so that's 2050.com through April 30th. Switching gears, going to the budget, the mayor's FY 2027 budget is expected in mid-April. The council member expects there will be some significant proposed cuts, particularly to programs that support low-income residents, and she'll be fighting to restore those. Key priorities include protecting the Pay Equity Fund for early childhood educators and funding permanent supportive housing to help end chronic homelessness. Residents are strongly encouraged to testify during budget season, as your input is very, very critical in shaping these decisions. Next is the Malcolm X Park. So a quick update on that. It will be temporarily closed this summer for turf restoration. The council member absolutely understands the concerns about the space being fully closed, and has been in communication with the Park Service on the timeline. We have received some good news from Superintendent Joyner that instead of reseeding, the Park Service will be using sod, which essentially means that the closure should be significantly shorter. The council member is working to make sure that the closure is as brief as possible while still allowing necessary maintenance to preserve the park long term. Lastly is just to give an update on MPD. The council overrode the mayor's veto on legislation requiring more transparency when MPD works with federal agents. Together, these laws require the release of body-worn camera footage, in cases involving deadly force and require officers to identify federal agents involved in those incidents to increase transparency and trust. Please let me know if you guys have any questions about any of that or anything separate. I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you for all that. Looks like we got one hand up. Commissioner Fuchila.
Yeah, I just had a question about the park, and there's a lot of different
Yeah.
reports around timelines and this and that. Is there ever going to be anything like sort of officially released about that before it all starts,
I
before it gets into it?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I can absolutely reach out to Park Service. I'm not sure what they have on the website about the park, but I can follow up on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, commissioners? Well, appreciate it for being here tonight, and thanks for the update.
Thank you guys.
It looks like the next hand up is from the Adams Morgan Business Improvement District Partnership and Business Improvement District, pardon me, Kristen Barton. Good
Okay,
evening, Chris.
thanks, guys. Sorry, my internet was a little slow, and it took a minute to join as a panelist, but it's great to see everyone. I had a question. Well, I'll get to that in a second. Um, uh, Enrique didn't talk about the cleanup that he's organizing. It's a pre-Porch Fest cleanup on Sunday, the 26th, all around the neighborhood. Commissioner Swanson Palmer, he's going to reach out to you specifically about that. I don't know all of what they're, planning to do, but it's going to be Sunday because of the other like citywide cleanup on Saturday. Anyhow, and DPW is actually going to be at Porch Fest. They're going to have some tables and tents in a couple of locations, encouraging people to recycle. They're going to have some um, used battery collection bins so people can bring used batteries. I don't think they're going to do electronic recycling, but they're going to have some bins for batteries. And also, I think they're going to be highlighting the compost bins that are in the neighborhood and encouraging people to compost as well. So, anyhow, DPW is doing a lot more community engagement. So it's great. But I was hoping Enrique was going to mention that, but he didn't. So I wanted to get that in first. Couple things. Thanks, Commissioner Olson, for your note about the trash cans on Lanier. Yeah, we're having a lot of residential trash end up in the municipal cans on the street. And I mean, this was a problem during the snowstorm, and I get it. Like people didn't want to walk through the ice to put their trash out and back. But it's continued even since the snow stopped, and it's not okay. Like it causes our clean team a lot of extra work, but it's trash and recycling need to go in the right place, right? If you all can please encourage your constituents to put their trash in their, appropriate receptacles so that DPW can collect it, or in larger buildings, the private services don't put it in the municipal cans. And the other thing is the DPW sweep will occasionally go through the trash and find addresses, and they will fine people for doing it. And I think it's a $75 fine. So, they do some enforcement. And so we always try to encourage people, just don't do it. Like, and then you don't have to worry about getting fined, right? Um, so, if the ANC could help us with that, we'd really appreciate it. Because our clean team complains when there's like a lot of, residential trash in the cans. The art walk is something we started in 2021, and that's kicking off tomorrow with a opening reception at DC Art Center. This is a partnership that we've done with DC Art Center since 21. And so I think there's 17 businesses that are hosting, 17 or 18 businesses that have art in their windows. And also, we've expanded it so that businesses can have art inside as well, on interior walls. And we're actually also promoting them, partnering with the artists to do an art talk inside the business, at least one, throughout the month of April. So the kickoff is tomorrow. All of the art should be installed by Friday, and it goes throughout the whole month of April. So it's a really fun partnership that we do with DC Art Center. So Art Walk is kicking off, and you can do an organized tour of the whole art walk on Saturdays and Sundays. You can sign up on the DC Art Center website for that. They charge a nominal $10 just to make sure people show up. It was free, but then people didn't show up, and they had waiting lists of people who wanted to do the organized tour. So they're charging $10 now to make sure people show up. So you can do a self-guided tour also, but the guided tours you learn more about the art and artist. So. And those are on every weekend throughout the month of April. Porch Fest, of course, is May 2nd, Saturday, May 2nd from 2 to 6 p.m. We're expanding the street closure. So the street's going to be closed. 18th Street is going to be closed from Columbia to Florida. Thanks, Howard. Because, in large part, we're doing it because of safety, because it got so crowded in the 24 and 2300 blocks that we just really wanted to spread people out a bit more. So, and MPD agrees. So, and it actually makes some things easier to just close it all the way down to Florida. So the main stage is actually going to move to Marie Reed. The Marie Reed stage previously had been the School of Rock stage, where we had all of the young people bands. But that's now going to be the main stage. Again, trying to move people, spread people out a bit more. The School of Rock stage is going to be in Calorama Park. There'll still be a stage in Jubilee Plaza at the corner at 1800 Columbia. And then we'll have some info booths in front of Truist Bank and also in front of our office at 2424 18th Street. What else about Porch Fest? Those are some of the big changes, is the expanded street closure. We lost one of our big sponsors, Aetna Health Insurance, this year. So we're scrambling to fill the gap. I appreciate that the ANC is talking about that later today. I saw it on the agenda, and we really thank you in advance, because every little piece is going to make a big difference. It's a very expensive event to put on, even with the help of the DemPed Special Event Fund. Aetna was giving us $35,000 per Porch Fest. So it was $70,000 a year. It's a lot of money to replace. So anyhow, thank you. We appreciate that you're considering helping us out, because every little bit helps. And Bike to Work Day is coming up on May 15th. That's always a really fun event. We're going to host it. The pit stop will be in Unity Park. And the makeshift bicycle repair shop that's in the back of Tiny Vinyl, they're going to be hosting a bike clinic. Pepco is going to be there to talk about the Capital Grid project and their upgrades that coming to their station on Champlain Street. And we'll have bagels and coffee. And if you sign up in advance, you can get a free T-shirt at the pit stop. We also will hope to have some other prizes that we'll raffle off, every half hour or so. So it's a lot of fun. If anybody would like to help out, we can always use a couple extra people to help with setup and cleanup. It's from 7:30 to 9:30 on May 15th. And then Josh Gibson is doing his Mother of All Yard sales again. That's going to be the Saturday after Porch Fest on May 9th. And if anybody's interested in signing up for to have a yard sale in front of your house or to contribute stuff, Josh would love to have more people participating. And let's see, I think. Oh, and then also Friday nights, Ty Cumby at Tiny Vinyl. He is now hosting a vintage market on Friday evenings from 4 to 9, yeah, 4 to 9. So that's in addition to the Saturdays in front of his shop there in the closed block of Champlain Street. So yeah, so check it out on Friday nights from 4 to 9. He's had bad weather since he launched this, so I think hopefully this Friday is good weather and he'll have some vendors out there. So yeah, so I think that's it. Happy to answer any questions.
That's great. Thank you for all that. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Looks like you're good. Thank you for all you do.
Good.
Appreciate you being here tonight. Talk to you later, Kristen.
Yeah, sure. Okay, take care.
The next hand up is Trevorce Culpepper from Pepco. Good evening, Trevorce. Welcome.
Hello, can you all hear me?
You can. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you all so very much for giving me the time to just come before you. As many of you all know, we did have our community meeting earlier in March regarding the Champlain substation upgrade, which is part of the Capital Grid project. From that meeting, we did state that you will start to see an uptick in activity at the site. Beginning next week and throughout the rest of the spring going into the summer, we will start mass excavation on the site where they will be actually excavating a lot of the earth to lay down the basement of the building. So, with that being said, you'll start to see a lot of trucks coming to the site, hauling off materials and then also bringing in equipment as well to the site. And then starting sometime middle of June towards the end of July, we will start to erect the framing of the building, which will require a crane to be erected, and then also a increase in deliveries and materials to the site throughout the remainder of the year. So I know that activity has been somewhat slow starting out, even though we've been present on the site. But from here on out throughout the rest of the year, you will start to see a lot of heavy activity, a lot of transporting of materials and equipment to the site. In order to support that, there are going to be a few road closures in the area as a result. Well, I should say lane closures. Number one, there will be a lane closure along Florida Avenue from 16th Street to Ontario Road. There will be flaggers in this area as well. And then towards the summer, the Champlain Street from Old Morgan School to Florida Avenue will be closed. It will be used as um, a location for um, delivering materials to the site. We have been in touch with Marie Reed. They're very much aware, as well as the Reed Row apartment complex and then surrounding neighbors. We will share additional information with neighbors regarding this as well. We so just wanted to kind of share that information. And then also, I know that at this time, you know, people have seen their utility bills increase significantly, and that is due to the supply costs that have increased because of the increase in the demand of energy and the limited supply of energy being produced by providers. This is largely due to the influx of data centers that have come into the areas where we buy the electricity. So a lot of these data centers actually need enough power to power small cities, equivalent to 240 homes. So that has caused a sharp increase in the supply cost, which is a pass-through cost that Pepco passes on to customers. It's the rate that we're charged to buy energy from the energy providers to be delivered to your home. And what we're looking to do as a result is to own our own generation, mostly through renewables, solar, community solar, or battery storage. And it's part of a new initiative launched by our parent company, Exelon, and this is called the Exelon Promise, where we are seeking to own utility-owned generation that does require a legislative approval as well as approval from our regulatory um, agency to do. We're only a distributor of energy. We don't produce energy, but we are looking to own our own generation to contain that supply cost for customers in the future. So, wanted to share that, and then happy to take any questions about that at this time, and happy also to come back to the ANC next month to make a full presentation and take questions as well.
Thank you for all that. Commissioners, you got any questions, comments? And you've been really helpful on being periodically very transparent and thorough with all of this. So I appreciate that as this project for the substation that is advancing. I have thoughts on the data center stuff, but that would be a separate conversation that is probably not appropriate for tonight. But thank you for those comments as well.
Thank you very much, and happy to come back and have a full presentation next month or at any time.
Look forward to it. Thank you. All right, next hand up is from Melinda. Good evening and welcome. And thank you for your patience. How you doing?
Hi, commissioners. Hi, neighbors. I'm Melinda Freevert. I am the president of the Dorchester Tenants Association over in ANC 109. You may have seen we were featured in the Washington Post local section on Sunday. Joe Heim did a just incredible job telling the story of the unsafe elevators in not just our building, but across the city. What we had hoped would just be a simple situation of updating and modernizing our elevators. It turns out we're not the only ones. And in particular, folks are having problems with the Department of Buildings being an agency that can hold buildings accountable. So, if there are other members of ANC 1C, or if you know anyone across the city who has similar stories of unsafe elevators in their building, of a lack of support from DOB, we would greatly appreciate connecting and talking about what we can do to make sure that elevators across the city are safe. So you can reach us at Dorchester Tenants Association at gmail.com.
That's great, and saw the story as well. Thank you for mentioning that, and really appreciate all of the work. Of course, not a position any of us want to be in, but I know you've been putting a lot of effort towards doing this advocacy. So thank you for that. Next hand up is from Laura from the Office of Human Rights. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hi, so can you hear me?
Yeah.
Would it be possible to share my screen?
It's up to you. Yeah, as far as I can tell, it's been working so far this evening, which means we're
Okay,
about to experience problems. Hopefully not.
no problem. I see it. 1 second. Good evening. Hello, ANC commissioners and DC residents. My name is Laura Gonzalez, and I'm with the Office of Human Rights Language Access Program. I will be sharing my screen now. There it is. So I have two updates. I would like to first off say Happy Language Access Awareness Month for the month of April. We are celebrating Language Access Awareness Month, and we wanted to share with you two on Tuesday, April 7th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. We will be hosting Know Your Rights office hours at the DC Public Library, Mount Pleasant Library, as well as on Wednesday, April 22nd from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Cleveland Park location. Um, these are our flyer on our screen. We are welcoming all the public to attend. If they have any questions related to language access for translations, interpretations, and knowing your rights. We also wanted to let you all know that we will be tabling on April 23rd from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. With Central NIA and the DC Developmental Disabilities Council for their Spring Resource Fair. It will be located at 1420 Columbia Road on Washington, D.C. And the event will take place outside on Central NIA's rooftop and will bring together families, community partners, as well as other local organizations to share valuable resources and support our neighbors. And I also just want to lastly note that as a friendly reminder for our ANCs, under the Omnibus Act of 2016, the ANCs can be reimbursed from the Office of Human Rights for costs related to translation and interpretation services, as well as purchase or rental of listening systems to ensure participation for all DC residents and commissioners with limited or no English proficiency. And this will also be due on October 5th, 2026, at the end of the fiscal year. It does not include American Sign Language, ASL. However, you may submit the ANC reimbursement form that's located on our website, as well as attaching invoices, service quotes, and proof of payment to myself. And that email address would be my first name, Laura, Laura, at .Gonzalez, Gonzalez, at dc.gov. And I will also be at all these locations for the month of April for Language Access Awareness Month, as well as going to other ANCs to promote our events, and also just to show face to everyone that doesn't know our Office of Human Rights and our Language Access Program that we're celebrating. So we're very excited, as well as we're going to have a roundtable discussion from all the agencies' language access coordinators, because we are also in our season of bilingual language access plans. I also want to note that it's right now located on our website, our latest annual compliance report. So we've been able to also post that, and it's available online, that I can also share all the resources, including the flyers, and our website to the report in the chat. And that is all up for me today. If you guys have any questions, I'll take questions now.
Yeah, thank you all that. It's definitely important work, especially at this moment. Commissioners, do you have any questions? I have one, and it's possible this question is irrelevant in the kind of long term, but we're planning a candidate debate. Is that something that resources can be refunded for, or does it have to be an official ANC meeting? With the caveat of, I've talked to another commission that had services, and they said that no one used them, so we might not even just get them. But just for our reference, is that something that's able to be reimbursed, or does it have to be a nonpartisan type of event?
Question to your question, are you guys creating the material for that event, or you'll be hosting it as ANC 1C?
Yeah.
Then it should be able to work. We can talk offline, and I can definitely pass along your question and get back to you.
That's good to know. I mean, I know in Mount Pleasant they had an event and they have more Spanish speakers than Adams Morgan, and
Yes.
they said nobody used the service at all. So it might be just not worth the effort, but we'll decide and let you know. That's good to know for a reference. Thank you.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Any other questions, comments? Well, thank you for being here tonight. Oh, we have one, Commissioner Diamond.
No, I just wanted to say there was a candidate forum last Sunday at the Festival Center, and they did have interpretation. So that was in Adams Morgan, and it was they had an interpreter with headsets, and it was very useful. So just FYI, for that's something to think about.
Got it. Thanks. Anything else, commissioners? All right. Thank you, Laura, for being here. Have
Thank
a
you.
great.
Have a good evening. Good night.
And it looks like we have more hand up from Jeannie. Welcome. Good evening. Thank you for waiting an hour and a half to speak.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. This is Jeannie, longtime neighbor of the Adams School. My neighbors and I invite all of you, but in particular Howard, to visit us one early evening to observe what we are seeing still regarding grown men and now children scaling the elevated fence to access the locked soccer field behind the school. I sent pictures and videos to you, Howard, right before this meeting.
Okay, I haven't opened it
Neighbors,
yet.
my neighbors and I do not feel the onus should be on us to call 911 to report these breaches, as was proposed by you in your thoughtful email dated March 26th. If we were to do so, we would be calling 911 daily. You have my email from my email to you with pictures and videos right before this meeting. Please contact me. Thank you.
Okay. Uh,
Please go ahead.
if I could comment for a few minutes. Actually, this is a good chance for me. When I spoke earlier, I neglected to discuss the upcoming agenda for the ABC Public Safety Committee meeting this month, and so far all I've got is the monthly report from the Third District Police captain. But to the Oyster Adams problem, I think what you're referring to is an email I sent to some folks after I did the public safety walk last week with the MPD up on Columbia Road and took the opportunity to ask the third district commander, Sean Connors, are you aware of this and what should people do? And he was aware of it. And as I said in the email I sent out, I asked him, what should people do? And he's like, if people are jumping the fence, especially after dark, you should call 911. And I agree, we've got a problem with the school. Not really. Well, there's really two problems with the school. I did a Zoom call a couple of months ago with the principal and representatives of the DC Public Schools and the the DPW folks and DPR, actually, I should say, Parks and Rec, because one problem is Parks and Rec controls the schedule of this soccer field, not the school. And it was clear from the conversation, the school does not know what's happening on the soccer field as a result of people signing up for DPW. And then there's the attendant problem, which you've described, of just people jumping the fence. What I offered to do in this meeting, and I'm still waiting for them to get me paper, is I said, there's clearly a problem here with the school communicating with the surrounding community, especially the three large condo buildings on Columbia Road. And so what I said was, put together a letter, tell the community what you want them to know about what's going on at the soccer field, what's being done with DPR, what should be done if there's a problem, what sort of security they already have in place. But to go back to the what the commander said, yeah, call 911. It's frankly, I think it's our responsibility as citizens to report crimes. And I'm sorry that people don't feel that way, but unless the school is going to put somebody on that soccer field, 24/7 to keep an eye on everything, the rest of us are just going to have to step up and do stuff. And yeah, I'd I'd be happy to come over. I've been over there and looked at the field and so forth. I'd be glad to come again. But that's really where things stand right now. And if I can get information out of the school, I'd be delighted to distribute it and contact your condo boards and your management and stuff and get that out. But that's in a nutshell, that's where it stands. So thanks very much, and I do appreciate it. And I'll take a look at your email as soon as we're done here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner. Thank you, Jeannie. There are two questions in the Q&A. I'm not going to answer them because I don't think we're qualified to answer them, but just they're directed towards Pepco and the mayor, or maybe the mayor's office. I'm not sure we had anyone that could specifically address those. So sorry, but I will leave those to your own device to search for a better answer than I could offer. And to everyone else who commented in the Q&A, I think we addressed most of your questions through a written response. All right, so moving on. Oh, Commissioner Diamond, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm full of questions. So just back to the soccer field issue. I'm just wondering if, since our treasurer reported how much money we had, if a possibility could be maybe the ANC, purchasing something like a ring camera or something like that, both as deterrence and also is as a way to get visual evidence of who is doing this. And I feel like if people are jumping the fence, that's trespassing and that is a crime. And there, I wouldn't want that burden to fall on one particular condo building to report it all the time.
Mhm.
But, you know, maybe there's a way to think outside the box that we could work with residents and with MPD to stop a crime that seems to be happening continuously.
I will note, just because we've had issues with spending funds on things that ended up not going well, that I think that,
Okay.
well, I'm just saying, I think that there's a program for, at least for businesses,
Yeah.
that MPD purchases cameras and connects them to like a closed circuit television system. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if that would be considered like duplicitous services or something. And also,
Okay.
I don't know if we, how, it would be an interesting question for us to buy a camera without written permission from a property owner in advance to install it somewhere. So, but maybe that's
Well,
just a hypothetical. But
the other question is who's gonna monitor it?
Right.
yeah, I mean, the idea of creative solutions is still welcome. It's just maybe a camera
I mean,
it may or may not be appropriate. I'm not sure.
the thing about 911 is it does get attention. If you're calling 911 5 nights out of seven, it's going to be obvious to MPD and, attendant folks that there is a chronic problem here, particularly when that gets reported back to the school. So, I just it's probably better than calling 311. Let's put it that way.
My idea, for whatever it's worth, is to grease up the fences, but I don't know how fast. Maybe that'll solve it. I'm not sure. But we'll continue to think. Thank you for those comments, Commissioner Diamond. And hopefully collectively we can think of something to get it so people are not trespassing at the rate they are. All right, so consent agenda. Any last reservations about the consent agenda? All right, so be it. Consent agenda passes. The last three items on tonight's agenda. I guess I'll just, the notices of intent. If anyone's here to address either notice of intent, please raise your hand and you can speak your mind. Commissioners, do you have anything on either of those notices of intent? Like I said earlier in the meeting, put those on the agenda just for the courtesy of if anyone wanted to raise anything. I think they're relatively small adjustments, like the diplomatic parking one. I think it's just changing like the classification for one parking spot or something so that the diplomats have a parking spot. There's an interesting bigger picture question to diplomatic parking because diplomats owe quite a bit of money to the District of Columbia for parking violations over the last several decades, but that's another sort of geopolitical question that we won't get into tonight. But it's an interesting question. And the other one is, I think, a similar thing, adjusting some of the classifications for the lane usage. All right, so the proposed sponsorship of the Porch Fest, Commissioner Laughlin, you want to introduce this?
Yeah, so apologies that I couldn't bring it through a committee because I had a conflict with those meeting dates. But as alluded to earlier, this is not unique to our ANC. There is just a lot of difficulty with giving grants because of the strict guidelines. Even when I've worked with the Office of ANC with the grantee to clear things and go through the paperwork, it seems like at the end, even when we submit everything based on those agreements, it doesn't seem to work out. And so I do encourage groups to come to us with ideas because I think sponsorship is a better venue and avenue for us. But the caveat with the sponsorship is that we do need to get something from it in terms, it's sort of like we're paying for advertising, basically. So we did a successful part sponsorship a few years ago, actually with Platform of Hope, where we sponsored an ad in one of their newsletters. And as part of that sponsorship, I think we paid $3,000 for that sponsorship to get an ad in their newsletter, which was distributed to a wide audience that we typically wouldn't get access to. So that was good use of our money, and also then that organization could apply the funds to the things that they needed. So what I'm proposing tonight and hope to get support from the other commissioners is to do a $3,000 sponsorship to the Adams Morgan bid. And that they in return for that sponsorship money will do advertising using our logo and also stating our meeting date and time with our website. As we all know, Porch Fest is really large. It gets a large audience. And so it's a way for us to remind the community that we're here and that we participate in this event and we're supporting it. And we'll work with the bid to do the logo and other information, but it's something we haven't really participated in before. And so we could think about in the future how we want to do that, but we don't have to stipulate that they spend it to pay for porta potties or other things. We're paying to get our information on their promo material and out there, and then they can use the money to sort of best support the programs as they need.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Commissioner Balke.
Thanks. I just wanted to ask, when I was on the ANC a couple years ago, we really, I mean, sponsorships is kind of a new thing to me, and I'm curious, is OANC okay with this?
Yes, so OANC is actually encouraging sponsorships.
Really?
And I'll throw
They're
in
tired
the
of dealing
link.
with all the grants?
Well, I think it's to give the ANCs a bit more flexibility for certain things. Because some of the difficulties we have, like we can never give a grant that would pay for food.
Yeah.
And like so we've grants that we've given in the past, we can't do anymore. So I know this commission before I had joined, they had done grants to some of the local school groups to help pay for their community gardens and their school gardens. We can't do that anymore because it's technically food, and not everyone in the ANC or 1C could go and eat a piece of the eggplant. So we were told we can't do that anymore. So I'll have to drop the link in, but that's sort of been an avenue. And it was funny when I was emailing back and forth with the Office of ANC, the example they use for sponsorship is the exact one that I mentioned that we did a few years ago with the Platform of Hope. I was like, well, thank you for using us as the example, because that was us. Like that's what we did. So yeah, it's sort of a newer thing they've done. And other commissions are sort of pivoting that way as well. Because I think it's a really great form of advertising. Because other than listservs and other things like, and I know for our commission, we don't have our logo on many things. So it's also a really just useful way for us to have an advertisement out there and to remind people that we're part of this community and here to support.
Good, thank you.
And I'll just add to that, if I'm remembering correctly. I mean, there's a chance that sponsorships were an option in the past, but I didn't really hear about them at all. And I'm guessing that what changed is the pandemic temporary rules for being able to purchase food were expired, and also the person on top of the OANC changed so that I think that they're just managing the office in a different way. And for whatever reason, the how to put this diplomatically, the stringency with which these grants have been evaluated has changed over time, and it's been frustrating. All right, but yeah, I'll move for us to support this. Can I get a second for us to discuss further?
Second.
Thank you, commissioners. Any last comments, questions?
I guess I'll also add to what Howard was, so in the guidelines for the sponsorship, we just have to, one, as a commission, discuss and vote on it. And then it does need to be in our minutes. So that was the other part of it. So it does need to be documented in that fashion, that it was a discussion and voted on. So that's sort of the more, I guess, legalese of it, is that it needs to be in our minutes.
No, that seems easy. I mean, especially considering that the event has lost a bit of funding last minute. This is only a small bit, but hopefully it can be helpful for them to do it. Although if we table, this is a terrible joke, but we should not do our tabling outside of a porta potty if we can hold to it. Just as long as we're not contractually obligated to combine those things.
But we could table in front of a lead pipe. We could be in front of the lead pipe and then and then work with DC Water to direct them to the lead pipe.
We can bring some rats in there for just
yes.
trifecta, right? All right. Any last questions? Anyone in attendance have any questions, comments on this? All right, let's bring it to a vote. All those in favor of supporting this sponsorship, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. And I believe that is it for tonight. Good meeting, everyone. Thank you for everyone who stayed with us this whole time. Talk to you later. Have a good
Thank
month.
you.
Thank you.
And